It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Manitoba Bisons head men's volleyball coach, Coach Arnd Ludwig. How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college volleyball?
I was coaching in Germany until 2009. Then I came to Canada, to University of Manitoba, where the women's national team was located that time. I coached them for 8 years. And I applied when Garth Pischke retired. I applied for that job, and obviously I got the job here.
What was that experience like getting to travel around the world and playing volleyball?
Oh, it was awesome. Well, when I was 15, I played junior national team in Germany, and we traveled all over the places, mostly Europe. And then when we got older, we went to world championships, junior world championships. It was, especially for a young person, for a young player, it was a really, really good feeling.
How was that experience like competing in the European Cup as a player?
I never was a player at the European Cup. I played European Championship. I played obviously national championships, the German league. I only played European Cup as a coach, but that was also a great experience. Well, I remember this one game that we played in Bursa in Turkey. You have 3,500 people in the gym just cheering. Then we played 1 year in Mallorca. It's just an incredible feeling.
Of course, what was that experience like getting onto the national team as a coach and coaching for Canada?
Well, I was coaching before that. I was coaching in Germany. I was assistant coach for the women's national team from 1998 to 2002. Then after that, I was one summer, I worked with the men's national team. So coaching a national team and going to world championships and trying to get to Olympics was kind of always a dream for me. And when I saw the opening in Canada, I applied for it, and I was lucky to get that job.
Of course, in 2021, 2011, what was that experience like coaching in the Pan American Games?
Well, we coached twice in the Pan American Games. 2011, we were in Guadalajara, and in 2015, we coached. We were in Toronto. So Toronto was obviously amazing because you play in front of your home crowd. All the games were sold out when we played. It was incredible. Guadalajara was good too, and I just like the atmosphere of multi-sport games where you have athletes from a lot of countries and from a lot of different sports, and when you have a little bit of spare time, you can watch other sports. It's amazing.
How was that experience like coaching in the Olympics in 2000?
Yeah, very, very similar, but it's on a higher level. So Olympics in Sydney, it was unreal. So I remember we went there with Germany, and we played our preliminaries, and it was Olympics. At that time was always you had 1 day on, 1 day off. So one day the girls would play, the next day the men would play. And on the days off, we had a morning session in practice, and in the afternoon, I would go and watch a lot of different sports. I saw Kathy Freeman winning gold medal for Australia live in Sydney in the Olympic Stadium. You see a lot of great athletes. I saw Muhammad Ali, which is for me was just a great experience. It was unbelievable.
For you, what was that transition like going from coaching on the national team to coaching collegiately?
Well, the transition was more that became a teacher, and this is also my background. Before I became a coach, I went through education in Germany, and it's a little bit different. Obviously you have to adjust as a coach because the players at a collegiate they are more for the social part of the reason, and I think it was not the only club team only team that I coached, high school team. I coached before. We coached in Morris. I coached in Oakbank, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as well. It's just on a complete different level, and you have to get your ambitions a little bit down because the players obviously they are not quite as how do I say? I wouldn't say motivated because they don't have the time to go their full professional like what I coached until then basically.
What was that feeling like coming to Manitoba and becoming the men's head volleyball coach?
Oh, it was awesome. I applied for that job, and there was a really high competition. It was a long process because it was during COVID. So the application came in before COVID, then there was shutdown, there was a hiring freeze. So it took, I think I applied in February, March, something like this. Had my first interview in April, and then it took till August till they made a decision. But I was super excited when I got this job here.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for the men's volleyball program?
Sorry, what did you say?
Can you talk about the culture that you started to build for the men's volleyball program?
Well, we when I started, we had there were a lot of older players, and it's a little bit of a transition. The first year, I don't really call it coaching. It was COVID. We had well, if at all, 3-4 weeks of practice. Then we had 6 weeks off. Then we had 2-3 weeks of practice. Then we had another. We got yeah, we couldn't come to work. We couldn't practice. We were not allowed. My first actual year was the year after when we had this smaller group when we played only we played Brandon, Sask, and University of Winnipeg 3 times, 6 times actually, and that was my first year with where I had recruited players, and then it took 2-3 years to get a little bit aligned up to what my philosophies are, to what I want to have. It's obvious when you're a new coach and you try to implement other things and yeah, it took us 3 years, and this year is actually my first year where I have only players that I recruited. They were not recruited by my predecessor.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
Oh, this conference is super tight, and when you can see everybody beats somehow everybody. We have University of Winnipeg with number 1 right now until who's number 9. I think Brandon is right now number 9, and I think Brandon just beat UW. So this is a super close league, and well, we are done playing now. We have this weekend is a bye, but all the other teams play, and we still can finish anywhere between 6th and 9th place.
What does a typical game day look like at home?
Well, on Friday we usually have a morning session at 11. No, sorry, at 12:30 we have 1 hour practice. If some of the players have classes, they can't do it. Then we go back home, have lunch. The guys have classes, and then we meet well, we watch usually the first 2 sets of the women's game in the evenings, and then we have our short meeting, and then we wait till the women's games is over, and then we start playing. That's a Friday, and on a Saturday we have optional practices in the morning. And then again, we meet an hour before the games, sometimes 1.5. Watch it go over video, obviously, and then go get ready for the second game.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes looking to play collegiate volleyball?
It was sorry, what was the question? I'm trying to follow your questions here on the list.
What does that process look like for recruits looking to play collegiate volleyball?
Well, you have obviously the top level of recruits that everybody wants to have. So they get just people going to talk to them. For me as a coach, I go to, well, we have our Junior Bison tournament where I can recruit, where I can watch players, and then either players reach out to us, or if we are if we are interested, we reach out to them, and then it's a waiting game. If we invite them to practices or to a practice day. We invite them for 1 or 2 nights over when they are out of town, and then we show them a campus. We walk them around, and then it's basically a waiting game. Whatever decision they make, who they want to use, because, like I said, the top players, everybody wants to have them, and then you have some players who really want to come to you, especially in Winnipeg. A lot of the local players want to stay home. So it is so yeah. So do we want this player? Does he want to come? And so by I would say usually December, that's often when I'm done recruiting for the next year, and unless there is coming something unexpected.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that Manitoba jersey for the first time?
Oh, I think I think they are super excited to play for us. We have also players, they put the jersey on, but they don't play the first year at all, or only get a couple of serves in or something. But I think everybody is super happy and super proud to be here.
What is that experience like seeing them achieve those first big milestones like first digs, first serves?
Uh, I think for them it's awesome. For me as a coach, it is what it is. Well, actually, last week we have a player here, Tyson Nachtigall. He's working every practice. He's working super hard, and last week we had the chance to we gave him a set. He played a set, and I think the first point that he made, everybody just the whole bench exploded because everybody was super happy for them. And then Ethan Hildebrand, who's one of our serving subs, he comes in and closes the match with an ace, and he's our serving specialist. And I think you just see how the players are happy for each other, and as a coach, you really feel it's a really good feeling when you see that these players succeed, because they show that every day in practice, and but they don't hardly get the chance to show that in a game.
What is that like getting to see those seniors putting on that Manitoba jersey for the last time?
We had last year, we had our first senior. This year we don't have a senior at all, but I think I watched a little bit the girls game on or the procedure for the girls, because they had 5 seniors, and it's quite emotional. So before the game, and a lot of tears, a lot of happy tears, and but as a coach, you're always a little bit worried that it's getting too much, and players dragging this too much into the game. And but I think you have done something for 5 years, and well, often it is basically not only the end of the collegiate career. Often it's the end of the volleyball career in periodically, because there is nothing going on in Canada after university volleyball, unless you want to play national team, unless you want to play somewhere professional. You're then playing volleyball when you're 23 years old.
What is that like getting to see those players going and playing professional volleyball?
I would encourage every player to try and go overseas. I think just the experience of living in Europe or living somewhere else in the world for a year, and a lot of the expenses are paid for. Me personally, when I was playing, I thought professional playing being a professional player is it's a great life. You practice, you do what you love, you have a lot of time on your hand, you travel the world, and I would just encourage every player at least try it out. And almost for every player, there is a league in Europe that fits your level. And even if it's just you go there for a year and then you travel, you're already in Europe. From there, you can travel to a lot of countries and just do things. That's also how I met my wife. She played here for the Bisons, then she came to France, played a year, and went to Germany then, and that's where we met. And so instead of 2 years, she stayed 13 years in Germany.
How is it like getting to see those players going into coaching after their playing career?
There's a lot of players that I met during my during my job as a national team coach. They're getting more and more into players. Like Shanice Marcel is now at Queens. There is I see Jennifer Cross, who's a national team member. She's helping now at UBC. There is a more and more, especially on the women's side, more and more players going into, and I think this is fantastic.
What are some of your future plans for the program moving forward?
Well, we still want to establish our program. Our goal is really to compete on a high level and try to get to nationals every year. So we still haven't achieved that goal. Um, it's my fourth year and my fourth season, and well, we haven't qualified for nationals yet. So we are still building the program, solidified, and we're still hoping to keep all the best Manitoban players in Manitoba, and hopefully get one or two from outside to help us to achieve our goals.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen looking to play collegiate volleyball?
It's a little bit there's different ways. So for example, you have like a player that we have right now, Owen Weeks, who was one of the, if not the best player of his age group, and so he got playing time already early in the year. He played the first half of the season. He got in for a couple of points, and then we transfer him to the left side position. And starting in January, he was our starting left side, and for him it's amazing. So he's got a lot of playing time. Other freshmen might not play at all, and then some freshmen are redshirting. So it's always, where are you? How do you build? And as a freshman, I think, where's your spot? And I think there is it's an important communication between coaches and players with a developmental plan over the first 2-3 years. And I think the one thing is, as a player, if you're not a starter in your third year or get a lot of playing time in your third year, well, then you're probably just a role player for that team.
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of playing professional volleyball?
Sorry, what was that?
What advice would you give those players that have aspirations of playing professional volleyball?
Well, I encourage them to do that, and then there is a lot of agents out there. So last year we had our Australian player Ben Carlton. So he wanted to play professional, and he found an agent, and the agent is reaching out to other clubs, and it's very similar to collegiate. That the top level players, they will get contracts earlier, and then the closer it gets to the season, this is when the role players will be filled. So if you want to play professionally, first of all, you need to get an agent, and then after that, you need to be patient. And I would always say, don't try to go too big in the first. Try to go and get a solid contract, and then make a name for yourself, and then you slowly build up in your professional career.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to build their own men's volleyball program for their university?
I think every coach has a different philosophy. So when I started here, for me, it was very important to build up also the Junior Bison program, because I think coming from Europe, I saw how our developmental system. I coached in Dresden, and in Dresden we had a developmental program from grade 7 to 19 years old, and a lot of the players that I coached came through that developed through that system, and a lot of these players actually made national team at some point, and so a little bit of a vision that we have here, this Junior Bison program, really try to get a close connection, a good connection with these players. The players should get to know the university, getting to know the university, seeing what's going on here, and really trying to build that program as a main feeder for our program. And well, other universities don't have that, so they have to recruit. They have to go out and recruit. And for me, like I said, have this developmental system and try to get players from this program as a main source, and then next would be Winnipeg and Manitoba, and then we go outside.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program at?
Sorry, where are your questions right now?
Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the program?
We have at U of M, we have social media. We have people who are responsible for social media. I am let's say, very poor in social media. I have an Instagram account, but I hardly update it. And so we have the UM Bisons, we have the UM Bisons men's volleyball. So we have one person who is just responsible for social media, and they're doing a pretty good job, a very fantastic job actually, about posting important things.
Thank you again for your interview, and best luck in your future at Manitoba as the head men's volleyball coach.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at @talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.